And we're live. So let's just chill while people come in. I suspect it's going to take a few minutes, right?
All right.
Because Malaysian timing, one thing, they will come in late. Secondly, is it's not even 8. So,
Okay.
but
All right,
here
we'll wait.
I am just logging in because I want to see who's here, right? So I have to log in using my phone. I see that we have 3 people already. People are coming in, but sorry lah, I cannot see who. Right. Let's just click this. No. Right. So for those who just joined us, the 6 of you, thank you for joining us so early. But we are just going to chill and have a little small talk to warm up before we start the talk at 8. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions about writing in general, today we have a very experienced editor/writer, Gregory Basil, right? Just leave it in the chat and we will definitely try our best to answer your questions, because between us, we have more than 2 decades of writing experience. And if you really want to know more, you should really ask now while Greg is here.
Happy to
So
help.
so don't feel shy and just type it in the chat, whatever you want to know. But of course, we are going to save all these details for later, all the juicy stuff, right? So while warming up, Greg, can you give us an unofficial... let's not go with introductions yet. What do you have for dinner just now?
What did I have for dinner? I had dim sum for dinner, actually. You gotta live it up.
I also had Canton Eye and I had wonton. What a coincidence. And then somehow writers like to wear black tea, right?
Yeah, see? Now, coincidentally, we are both in black.
So we have around 2 minutes left, and let's continue killing the time by just quickly saying, like, how has your experience been being a traditional writer? Right? And how has your transition been so far? Don't give too much spoilers first.
Okay. It was I think I'll just touch a bit about the transition. I'm still very new into the transition, so there's a lot of learning going on. But I welcome this because I feel that it's upskilling, and it was actually not something I asked for or decided to do. It just sort of happened. But I have no regrets. I think it's pretty exciting. It's a very different way of writing, to be honest. But we'll get into that later. Yeah. So I'm still learning. So it's a good thing. It's very positive. I take it very positively.
I totally understand that not asking for it, because I am in the same shoes as yourself. Mm-hmm. The plus side for me was that I always liked computers and tech. Right? So
okay.
Making that jump was much easier, but I always wanted to, just write. Write lah. Why do I need to care about the algorithm? Why do I need to change how many paragraphs I use even?
Right? True.
And for those, sorry, go on.
It's just that with tech, it's what you learn in traditional writing is just thrown out of the window. Yes. It just goes out of the window. Yeah. So it's very different altogether.
You find yourself almost breaking up into 2 personalities. One is to do what you've always done, and another one is to accommodate all these new changes.
Correct. There is this dilemma if you're a traditional writer or journalist. because you've grown up with this journalistic integrity, so to speak, and then grown up, and then now you suddenly have to abandon all this for tech and
Yep.
for keywords and search engine optimization and all that. So
But
it's
it's not all sad, not all doom and gloom, and we will be exploring it this episode. So we have actually reached 8 p.m. and now we can officially begin the introductions. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. I have with us here today Gregory Basil. I will allow him to introduce himself in a bit. He has a very unique journey in the writing world. But before that, just quickly want to do housekeeping in that Next Academy hosts these webinars, and we do have them weekly or bi-weekly. So whenever you see a topic that interests you, please join, right? And while we are chatting tonight, please feel free to drop any questions on writing that you may have, because we will be taking you guys down the path of what can you do in writing, how can you transition into tech, how much is the salary? Everybody always wants to know about money, right? And without further ado, I shall open up the floor to Greg to introduce himself. So Greg, take us away.
Right. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. My name is Gregory Basil. I am currently working in content development. I started my journey in the publishing industry back in 2008. I was considered a bit of a late bloomer because I only started publishing in my late 20s, having worked in various other fields before that. Didn't really find what I wanted to do until I realized much later that I wanted to do publishing, or writing rather. And it was a bit difficult transitioning into writing because I didn't have any prior experience. I didn't have any portfolio. And also I didn't have anybody to tell me what was the way to proceed. All I did was just send in as many applications as possible and write random things here and there and then send it over. And that's actually how I got into the publishing industry. Yeah, so...
I can super relate to that because I think how we started is almost the same, right?
Correct,
we
yeah.
are late bloomers who didn't know what to do with life and sort of found our way into this industry, right? But it's
True.
very important to bring up that during 2008, iPhone still wasn't invented, if I remember correctly.
No, I think it was actually. Yeah, it was.
I think iPhone in 2010, is it not? But yeah, anyway, it was super hard to get jobs then if you didn't have the experience and context beforehand.
Correct.
It's not like today where you can just log on to LinkedIn. I don't think they even had LinkedIn then.
No, there wasn't LinkedIn back then. Yeah, it's not that long ago, but it sounds like it was very long ago.
Yes, and it's so important to bring this up because when the time we joined and started getting into writing, we actually saw the landscape totally change, and now tech is dominating. Right? So for those who still are stubborn and don't want to do the transition, I mean, this is a wake-up call. And what better way to talk about this evolution by two dinosaurs here talking about writing and tech, right? So Greg, I understand you actually started off not really traditional writing. You were always in the editing part of
True. I started off actually not as a writer, but as a sub-editor. But I've always had wanted to do writing, but I was just a bit apprehensive about. To be honest, I had a very bad experience with my first writing job, and I didn't know if I was good enough to be a writer. But somehow an opportunity came up for me to be a sub-editor. And I thought, okay, this is not so much writing, but still in the publishing industry. So I'll try it out. And it kind of worked for a while. And then I moved to another company, which was doing newspaper supplements. And there, my editor was pretty chilled out, and she knew I wanted to write as well, so she allowed me the opportunity to write, which is how I picked up my writing skills. I learned a lot from two of my editors who were working there at that point. Like a lot of my writing style and learning about the language, what is permissible, what is not, what language is right, especially when you're writing for newspapers, or at least it was back then. I think these days it's a little bit more informal with the newspapers, but and we were also focusing on subject matters that were pretty, I would say, pretty serious. So like postgraduate education and business and green technology and all that. So there was very little room for you to be humorous about things and, like be creative. It was actually more of very serious writing.
And that
So
actually, sorry to cut you off, but
no, sorry.
I want to bring this up before you go on with the rest of your journey. In that you bring up, like, last time writing was so serious. How have you seen it evolve over the years, over the decade that you've been doing it?
Now, when I look at newspapers, I see it's very informal, the writing. Even news in the like headlines and main news is presented in a very different way than what I remember. So I think I'm not sure why that is. Maybe because they're trying to appeal to the younger market as well.
Yes,
Right?
totally. Sorry, I keep cutting off because the
No,
1 second delay.
okay.
The 1 second delay does this. So audience, sorry as well. And I like that he brings up that today, even newspapers are going for memes, right? Like now the latest trend is family. I bet some of you have seen the family meme going on. And even something so strict as newspapers are starting to evolve. They're starting to take on memes. No more, gone were the days where you had to go through sub-editor, then go to the editor. Then if the guy says it's perfect and most formal, then only it gets printed, right? Nowadays, you even see typos in newspapers because of the way things
Unfortunately.
are.
Yeah.
But again, we will be exploring all these changes, as well as for those who are interested in how you want to join writing, we will spill all the details, and also we'll talk about everyone's favorite topic, salary, right? But currently we have Tina who has a question. And by the way, for those who are tuned in, if you have questions, please do leave it in the chat because this is a very good time since Greg is here. Tina asks, how to write in a way that will captivate audiences so that they won't drop out halfway? So let's assume this is for web writing because dropout is for web, right?
Right. Okay. From my experience, the title, the heading has to be like super powerful, which is where I suppose clickbaiting comes in. And then, but let's not get into that. Okay. And personally, I would think when you are writing for online and you want your audience to stay on, you have to break it up with subheads. Because what is really off-putting when you're reading online articles is this wall of text, which is extremely long and just walls and walls of text. It's just unappealing to the eye. It's very different from when you are reading a book, for example, and you also need because not everybody. If you have a 2,000 word article online, chances are the person is not going to read that whole article. So you definitely need to break it down, and then they will be able to pick and choose which ones or which sections they want to read and then go on and read that. And of course, images are also very important because you need to have this image that is captivating enough for your reader to stay on and like, hey, what is this? So, sometimes personal images, I'm speaking from a perspective of lifestyle writing, lifestyle and travel writing. So I think your personal images would be would have more impact than like an image from Getty or 123RF. So I think that would be a lot better for the reader because this is an image that they've not seen before.
And
And And also, I think captions are important because you need to follow up your image with a very strong caption. So even if they don't read the whole article, they know that the caption will give them a gist of it. And if they're interested enough, they will go into the whole article and then that section and then read that section.
And just to add on to that, for Tina, if for web writing, you actually do want to envision a funnel. So the headline will be the top of the funnel, right? Where's the camera? Top of the funnel. And you have to put a lot of focus on the ones that are on top, right? Because if they cannot get past your headline, however nice your article is, they won't even care because they won't even click on it, right?
Correct.
And then lower down the funnel is the intro paragraph, where you want to hook them from the first paragraph. Because no matter how nice the rest of your article is, it won't matter if they don't get past your first paragraph, right? And it goes on and it goes on. And I like
True.
how Greg brought up the 2,000 word article, because nowadays there is a trend going back to long form writing for the web, right? Like Mark Manson, right? One of my favorites, waitbutwhy.com, right? And if you follow what Greg has mentioned, make sure you break it up in very digestible chunks. Even
Correct.
2,000 words will be okay, right? So thanks so much, Tina, for your question. Awesome question. Do keep them coming, right? We are here to answer anything you have about the industry or the craft. Which brings us to the next point. Greg, you said you didn't have qualifications when you first joined, is it? Or no experience?
No, I did not. I studied something totally different. And but I realized when I got into the industry that you don't really need to have a journalism or mass comm degree if you want to write. Most of the writers I know have a different background altogether.
Correct.
I know people who have law degrees, people who have science degrees, people who have geology degrees. So writing is something you pick up on the job. It's something totally you can learn as you go.
So,
So
let me raise you this question. If someone, one of our audience right now, is interested in joining the industry, but they are in sales or they are maybe in accounting, what would you say to these people?
I would say start off by building yourself a portfolio. So how do you do that? First of all, my way would be to approach NGOs. I tell this to a lot of writers who are trying to get into, or budding writers rather. So approach NGOs, ask them if you can write for them for free. And so that way you give them material and you also get to build your portfolio because you are writing for an NGO and that is the name that you can use in your portfolio. I think that's a good way of also giving back to society.
So for these people, right, they will probably say, I got no experience, and I don't even have the proper education. Will people even give me the time?
Well, that's why I say go to NGOs because they have a lot of stories to tell, and they don't have enough people helping out. They want people to help out. They want people to tell their stories. They want people to to find out more about what the services that they're offering and all that. So they need people to tell their stories. So yeah, approach all these NGOs and see how you can work with them and work towards putting out good stories. It's of course it's not an easy process. You may have to get through like to few NGOs before one actually agrees to meet with you and agrees to see your work. But it is worthwhile doing. Your other
And I just want to keep building on to your points.
Okay.
But again, the challenge of lag makes it like a new challenge, right? But to build onto your point, I just want to say that, like Greg, I myself didn't have any experience or qualifications before writing for a living. And I myself was a hairdresser, right? And I didn't finish Form 5, right? So if I can do it, Any of you who are thinking about joining the industry, you can do it as well. But there is a certain level of English, or if you want to write in Chinese or Malay, there is a certain level you have to be at. So in that sense, you cannot try to learn like the language on the job, but you don't need a formal qualification, right? So
Correct.
if you have been thinking of joining, please remember that you can do it. But then usually these things you cannot fake, right? So Greg, what usually happens when people go on interview? If let's say an accountant here, they want to go for an interview tomorrow to start writing, what will happen, you think?
Before I call this person for a job interview, I will ask him to send me his body of work. So that is very important. So you need to show something to prospective employers. So even if you're trying to move from, say, accountancy to writing, that's fine as long as you have something to show. I'll also ask you to do a test. Sometimes, but I think always you'll be given a test to maybe an editing test and a writing test as well to gauge your language competencies, how well you can write, how well you can edit, how well you can spot mistakes, that sort of thing. And then we go on from there. So if you have a strong grasp of the language, I think that's a good start already. If you have like little mistakes here and there, that you can learn on the job and then you can improve as you go. So that's not an issue. But to start with, I think we forgot to mention this, Stuart. I think to start with, you need a good grasp of the language.
Yep, that is very key. It's not about having a perfect grammar, right? Because I myself, I didn't know that the plural of aircraft was aircraft. Right? I thought it was aircraft. Right? So you don't need to have perfect grammar, but you do need to have a good grasp of the language, which brings us to Shaiful's question here. And just as a reminder for the audience who are tuning in, please drop your questions. Don't be shy. Ask us anything about writing for traditional and for digital mediums, or how to get a career in it, or what is the prospect, and we will be glad to answer. Right? So for Shaiful here, he asks, how do you increase your level of language without formal qualification?
I would say read. Be a voracious reader. Digest as much as you can. Read. That's all I can say. That's how I picked up my language skills. I read a lot as a child. I didn't do too well in school, I must say, because I was reading too much. I was reading a lot of fiction, and that's how I think I built my grasp of the English language. Because I was always reading. In school, I was reading. At home, I was reading, and not my school books, unfortunately. Yeah.
I think that's what writers always do, right? The ones who fail school are the ones who become writers. So for Shaiful, let me just bring up a friend of mine, Gina Yap. She has written 9 Malay novels, right? So, but she's always with a book, Malay book. Right? So the language doesn't matter, and I would like to echo Greg's what he brought up is that without formal qualification, the best way is to read, no matter what language you are writing in. Right? So I hope that answers your question, Shaiful. The rest, please don't forget to keep your questions coming. Yeah. So now that we've talked about qualifications, right? And Greg has talked about approaching NGOs. I myself would recommend you guys, if you are interested in writing, please start a blog, right? If you have always been interested, please start somewhere, because someone will ask you one day. You go to a boss, the boss will ask you, can I see your work? You have to show them something, right? Or at the very least, show them that you were interested enough to start writing, right? So please start something. That is where you could actually start. When to actually show a boss, it doesn't really matter, because most of them will ask you to do a test there itself, right?
Stuart, can I add on to that?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So as for the blogs, when you're sending in your blogs or a particular blog post, please do not send blog posts with profanity. That is not very well received. I bring this up, as absurd as it may sound, I bring this up because I received one blog post from a candidate who was applying for a position, and I understand that she was very passionate about the subject matter, and she was very angry at the people who were not taking it seriously enough. But the amount of profanity in the, I know it's her blog post, yes, and she's allowed to do it, but that's not what you want to send to prospective employers. You don't want profanity in your blog when you're sending it to your prospective employers. So just keep that in mind when you are writing your blog post as well.
All right, that's a good tip for my editor and an employer. We are moving on to Ivan's question. Ivan asked, is there any platform and group in Malaysia to find good writer? God, Greg, you want to tell us one?
Yeah. There is actually a Facebook page that I run with two friends. It's called Malaysian Freelance Writers. And we've been running this page independently for the last 6 or 7 years, maybe more, I think. So we always put any advertisements. You can post for jobs there, and then prospective writers can get in touch with you. There's also another page called Joining Hands. Let me just check this.
Joining Hands PR or something like that. All these are groups in Facebook.
Yeah, Joining Hands, Job Opportunities for Media and PR Friends. Yep. Okay, so you can also, if you have an opening, you can write a post there, and then they will get in touch with you via PM.
And one more thing, Ivan, Malaysia Writers Community also, where all the writers of Malaysia, most of the ones that I know, are there now. So if you want to source for writers, that is also a good place to go. But just be careful about the rates, because writers are very sensitive about rates nowadays. And we will be talking about rates. We will be talking all about money in a bit. So Ivan, I hope that helps, right? Mailing us. This is actually a very interesting question. Mailing us, what about ebooks? Do ebooks help me in better my language?
Yeah, I definitely think it does.
Sorry. Listening to ebooks.
Listening to ebooks, yeah, it does. Yeah.
Actually, it's audiobooks.
Audiobooks, yeah.
I have to admit that I'm not so much of an audiobook person, so I cannot comment. But I do listen to a lot of podcasts. For me, I think the act of reading is always better, right? That's just me, lah. But Greg says can, so can. Great questions. Sorry. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Just for a little bit of background, I also teach English. So that's one thing I advise all my students as well. So watch programs of really good quality in English, like BBC programs, documentaries, and all that. Sometimes just leaving it in the background helps as well. So I would imagine that ebooks and podcasts also would help you improve your language skills.
Speaking about teaching, we at Nix Academy have a lot of courses on teaching, from digital classes, digital marketing, all the way to coding. So if you're interested to know more, just check out our website at www.nixacademy.com. And I hope that was an elegant segue before we go into our next question. And guys, please do keep up the questions. You guys are asking awesome questions. Tina asks, do you always keep in mind what kind of voice you're writing with? Passive versus active, different writing voice. That one confirmed. By default, yes. What about Greg? What do you think?
Yeah. Because you need to know who you're writing for, your audience, and tailor-make your article to suit that audience. So if you're writing for a business audience, of course, you have to be a bit more on the serious side, and you have to not use slangs and informal languages. Whereas if you're writing for travel, lifestyle, then also you can be a bit more relaxed with your writing style. You can let your personality shine in a bit more. And also you have to remember, like, whether you're writing for, like, for example, if you're writing for a more posh magazine versus one that is more for laymen, what kind of tone of voice you need to use and what kind of language you need to use as well. I think, yeah.
Yep.
So, yes,
And I
you need
think
to
this
keep
is a
in mind
good,
your audience.
it's a good time to not only talk about the voice, right? Passive versus active. You have to juggle that by default, but you also have to keep in mind your company's house style. Every company will have a house style. House style means how the company typically writes. Some companies like airlines, their house style usually is you cannot use the word die, crash, bucket list, right? You cannot use words
Yeah.
like that. Every company, every industry will have its house style. Hotels, you cannot. Some don't like to use the word luxurious, right? So besides voice, that is something you have to keep in mind. As a writer, that is your responsibility, lah. I hope that answers your question,
Correct.
Tina. And Joanne asked, oh, this is a very good question. Joanne asked, what are the potential career progressions of a writer? Should we go with progression or should we go with what is in the market? How shall we go about this? Let us
I
start
think
off
what's in
with,
the market is better.
yeah, correct. So you want to,
Okay. Okay, sure. So of course, when you start off as a writer, you'll naturally progress into a senior writer position, and then so after that, you can try your hand at editing. So you can be a sub editor, and basically, what a sub editor does is a sub editor looks through the writer's work and checks for grammar, punctuation, house style, check whether the sentences are coherent, the article is coherent, whether it makes sense when you put together the sentences, whether they are okay. Basically, all that, just like a second layer of checking before it goes to the editor, who will have a really quick look. Basically, the sub editor does a lot of the work. In most publications, the sub editor is the one with the bulk of the work, and after that, it goes into the editor, who will just have a quick look, and then if it's okay, sign off on the article. Otherwise, we'll send back to the to the sub editor to check some anomalies or inconsistencies or whatever. But most of the time, all this is done by the sub editor, and the editor just gives a go ahead and signs off on the article. So if in the instance that you're working for maybe a newspapers, for example, then you have different sections. So you'll have the sports section, you will have the food section. So you have the opportunity to become a specialized editor as well. So this is, of course, from a senior writer and or a sub editor. You can move into like features editor, or you can be a food editor or sports editor, that sort of thing. Okay, and then of course the final stage would be editor. Then I myself am not very familiar with this, but after editor, there's editor in chief, there's regional editor, there's managing editor. A lot of these terms are kind of loosely thrown about, so I'm not really very sure what is the topmost one.
Yeah. Totally
So
agree. If you, sorry to cut you off again.
that's
So
okay.
it's so hard to join in the conversation with a 1 second lag, right? But once it gets to the higher editor levels, sometimes we don't even know what they do. Sometimes they oversee a group of editors, right? But the typical progression is writer, senior writer, some form of editor, and the various editor levels up ahead. Right?
Yeah,
And
so that's when you've already reached the top.
Yep. And you will generally see this in all types of writing industries, even if you are doing content writing, even if you are doing just publishing. right? But nowadays, there are so many different tools with technology. So you can be a chatbot script writer. You can be a e-commerce product description writer. Like, you know, all the Shopee, Lazada, right? If they need someone to write description. You can be a website copywriter. You can, you know, there's so many extra fields now. You can be a social media manager. And all this all ties back to writing, even though you don't get the typical progression. But I think this is what we have to also highlight, right? For those who want to join the writing industry, Greg, did I miss any writing posts that people may want to join?
You can also go into PR and communications, because you'll be writing press releases, a lot of what's going on, maybe company newsletters as well, doing a lot of marketing stuff as well. So PR and comms is another option as well if you are interested in writing. That's another, or rather progression. You can progress from a writer into PR, and actually vice versa. Yeah.
PR, one thing interesting is you are usually working with a CEO or boss of the company. So it gives you very interesting assignments or experiences as well. So imagine if you are the PR for GLC, you will typically know all the secrets of a company. So it's a very interesting job. But I hope that answers your question, Joanne. And she has another one. So awesome questions,
Okay.
guys. Please do keep them coming. And this is a very good question. We were actually going to talk about this, Joanne. What are some of the no-nos or unspoken rules of the writing industry, if any?
Okay, unspoken rules. Okay.
Always meet your deadline.
Funnily, a lot of writers don't.
Yes.
But as you are starting out, I think you should. And you know, when you progress, you can like delay a bit. You know, take maybe one day extra, and you know when it's being published, and you know when you actually need to put it out. Absolutely, the last day, then you have a little bit of leeway, and you know how your team works already. Then you can play around with the deadlines a bit. But otherwise, if you are still new, please stick to the deadlines. Once you're more experienced, then you can play around with it. Okay, so I feel if you're starting out, don't be too picky with jobs. So if you get a job as a writer, stay on for at least a minimum of a year, and that will help you build your portfolio. So which is what's really important, your portfolio. So if you stay on a year and you are writing at least maybe 2 articles a week, that will give you like a very good portfolio already by the end of the year, and which you can then use to
Hello. It looks like Greg has some connection issues. So I guess I shall continue on his answer, right, while he tries to figure out his connection. So,
hello.
Hello. You are back? Oh, you are back.
Hi. Yeah, okay, sorry.
So,
Bad internet connection. Yeah.
I was just saying that
Yeah.
besides the portfolio, unspoken rules is don't ghost people. And for me, one of the most unspoken rules is don't talk about money before you find out what the assignment is.
Correct.
Like
That's a
someone's like,
very important rule as well.
are you free to write? Can you write? And then you're like, how much are you gonna pay me? Right? If you don't even know what the assignment is yet, and you start off with payment, then that's quite a big no-no for the bosses.
Yeah,
right?
it's a bit off-putting. Yeah, I have to say. Also, be open to new learning experiences. Because I was asked to write about so many things I had no clue about. Green technology was one of them. I had absolutely no idea what green technology was when I got the assignment, to be honest. But lots and lots and lots of research. I think I spent like 3 days researching before I finally wrote the article. And so you read up, you write. It really helps you if you're open to new experiences and to new subject matters. So join FB groups like the ones we mentioned, network, meet people, so you know who is doing what and who's where. Join Telur Media for alerts on what's happening in the industry, and for also job openings that will really help you stay on the ball with the writing industry, not only in Malaysia but also across Asia, because they cover various markets. So you'll be in the know of what's happening throughout Asia Pacific.
Interesting. So that I hope that answers your question, Joanne. And as usual, please do feel free to keep asking while Greg is here, because we won't know when we'll see him again. And in the meantime, if you find this topic interesting and you would like to join the writing industry in digital marketing, or you want to be a content writer, you want to run your own business and do your own content, you can always check out the courses at nextacademy.com, because we have digital marketing consists of everything from knowing how to check out your analytics, understanding your data, to knowing how to put out content, and a lot of it involves writing, right? And Joanne is back. I really love Joanne because her questions is very awesome. And again, the rest, please don't be shy.
Hey, Joanne.
Could you perhaps share one of the most exciting or interesting projects you've ever worked on? Oh, I think we have a few.
Okay, for me, coincidentally, I have it with me here. This is Malaysia Tatler's Best Restaurants 2017. Okay, so this is one of the most exciting projects that I did. I worked with Malaysia Tatler on a project basis for 4 months to produce this booklet of all the best restaurants in Malaysia. So this was a very interesting assignment for me. I had to basically go through all the reviews that came in from the various people who reviewed the restaurants. I had to write restaurant reviews myself. I also had to write 3 articles for the booklet, and once it was done, I had to proofread all the design pages and then look through everything again to make sure there was no typo, there was no factual errors, everything. It was I was actually working 7 days a week to get this out for 4 months.
Right.
But when it came out, I was over the moon. I think any writer would tell you that seeing your article in print or seeing your article being published never gets old.
Yep.
It is always a wonderful feeling, and to produce something like this was I think it was a really good opportunity for me, and I'm very grateful for it. So this is the most exciting product that I've worked on, Joanne.
And there is also, as a travel writer, you must have been on various interesting assignments, right? And Joanne, if you ever get the opportunity to write while getting experiences, like personally, mine was going to India to wrestle with the mud wrestlers, right? And there was also another project where we had to travel the whole of Myanmar to write about Myanmar, but that didn't really go so well, even though I got to travel from North Myanmar all the way to South Myanmar just to write about it, right? So these are the type of interesting projects you may get. And who knows, even if you like eating and you are invited to go to a restaurant to try the food just to review, these are the type of things you can get just through writing. And I think both of us can safely say that writing has taken us to awesome places that we would never have been otherwise.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
And it could also be the same for you, right?
Yeah.
So thanks again, Joanne, for another awesome question.
Thank you, Joanne.
Eugene, this time we have Eugene who asks, what is your research process like for a topic you don't know?
Okay, so, well, thank goodness there's the internet now. Because I honestly don't know how writers used to do it in the 80s or early 90s. I honestly don't know. For me, I would I would key in the topic in Google and read as much as I can about it and try and understand it. Sometimes I also found watching YouTube videos a lot easier to digest the topic as well. And as I watch, I will pause and I'll type out the important bits, and then I'll play again, listen, pause, and then type out the important bits. And that's how I develop my article for for a topic that I don't know. Of course, also it helps that if you know somebody in the field, or you can always just look out for professionals in the field and then give them a call and say, I'm so and so calling from so and so publication. Is it okay if I give you a call and just discuss some of these things with you? And chances are a lot of people, or at least from my experience, a lot of them are actually very forthcoming, and they're very pleasant, and they're happy to help you out. Of course, in the article, you can mention them. It's fine, just to say as a thank you also. But a lot of them will be actually very helpful to, will be obliging to help you with your article.
Yeah, and this brings up a very good point, because as writers, sometimes as journalists, you have to write things you have zero knowledge about.
Very much so.
I used to share the same thing as you. I didn't know anything about green technology. I didn't know anything about education, but I had to learn, and the people who helped me learn were those in the industry. Right? So having someone you know will be always the best way to do your research. And if you don't have that, you always have the secondary Mr. Google, which brings us to the point of this webinar, right? Nowadays, technology is taking the world. Technology is very important. You think you want to just write, but no, that's not the case anymore. What are the biggest differences you've seen, Greg, from writing for traditional and writing for digital?
Well, now I do search engine optimization writing. So everything I write has to have a value for SEO. And with that comes a set of keywords that you need to incorporate into your article. And sometimes it's not easy, because what people search on Google is sometimes doesn't make sense. Yeah, like I had a colleague of mine. One of his keywords was healthy fast food in Malaysia, which obviously doesn't exist. It's an oxymoron. So how would you integrate such words? So you have to be creative in that way. Sometimes with a keyword like that, obviously you won't be able to use it. But you would have to now be a bit more creative in making sure that your sentence sounds right and is grammatically correct as well, while keeping in mind that when people search for these keywords, your article should pop up as one of those on the front page. So it's not the easiest thing to do, I must admit. Also, I'm very new at this point, so it's a learning process.
And having known Greg for so long, I can tell you guys, if Greg is learning digital, all of you have to learn digital. All right, Greg has he always resisted change. And now, no matter where you are, you have to embrace the change, right? I myself, I share Greg's background in that we started off traditional writing. So we never had to care about anything. We never had to care about keywords or if the volume of the search is high, or how many times we have to repeat this keyword in our article. Last time we just need to write whatever we want, and now it feels like something that is a luxury, right? So that is what technology brings. And again, if you want to know more about what is involved, please check us out at nixacademy.com. And Greg, you wanted to say something just now?
Well, I said, with traditional writing, I think you will agree with me. What we were more concerned about was meeting the word count. You have to meet like 1,500 words for one page in the newspapers, So that was what we were aiming for, and now it's totally different. It's totally different.
Nowadays it's like 500. Sometimes you send in 400 or 300 is okay. If they want 1,000, maybe you can send in 800. On the screen, it looks about the same, but in newspaper or on paper, if you miss those 100 words, you're going to have a blank space on paper. right? So that would suck.
You'll have an extra big image.
So traditional and digital, there's no better or worse, but the world is changing for digital, and even dinosaurs like us have to learn it, right? But now we are already at 8:45. So guys, thank you so much for your questions. Keep them coming. We will keep answering as long as we still have the time. If you've always been curious about this industry or how you can start a career in it, please do ask us. But for now, we have come to the juicy part of our webinar. And this is what everyone always wants to know, right? So I'm sure it would disappoint you guys when we start talking about it, but let's just talk about the salary, right?
Okay.
Are you ready to break people's hearts?
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't make this up, or these are not my rules, but these are the market rules. So, right. So for a fresh graduate, you would, with no experience, or basically if you have any degree rather, and you're a fresh graduate and you want to start your field in the writing industry, you will earn about 2,200. If you have about 2 years of experience, you can ask for 3,005. And if you have 4 years of experience, you can ask for 4,500 to 5,500. And it goes higher with more experience. And of course, with the more skills you have. So if you can write for both SEO and you can write for print as well, then of course, your marketability is a lot higher. And if you're, sorry, if you're, no, I was just about to go into freelance.
Okay, before we go into freelance, I just want to bring up a very important thing that Greg brought up. All these figures are quoted based on the market, but if you have extra skills, you are always more marketable. You will always be more marketable, and you are always welcome to get a higher salary, right? So writers are the people who need most skills, seriously, because if you only know how to write, in any company, you typically will be like the luxury, like sometimes if no writer, so it's okay. So writers are usually the ones who have to learn. Now we have to learn digital skills. If you have any public speaking skills, you have to do that. If you can consult on behalf of your company or anything, all this will increase your marketability in the full-time job space, right? So as writers, you cannot just depend on, I'm going to just use my writing to find money, right? But you can, if you go digital and open up your writing to the world. And you can, if you also become a digital nomad and maybe go the freelance route, which is not easy. And Greg is just going to go into that for the rates for freelancing. So take it away.
Okay, so typically for freelance writing, the rates are between 60 cents and 70 cents a word. If you look at a lot of forums on this writer's website, a lot of them have been grossly underpaid. Even I myself have been grossly underpaid, and I once was offered 25 cents a word. But I already got myself into the project, so I couldn't back out, and so I had no choice. But do not let clients bully you that way and into giving you such a low rate. Okay, because writing is a process, and you need to. There are certain steps that you need to take to produce that piece of work. So it is justified what you are asking for, because you also have to do a certain amount of research. Again, depending on the complexity of the task, if you are very skilled at or depending how much research you need to do. So if it's very research intensive, you can even ask for more. If it is a long-term project, then you can be a bit nicer to the client and maybe charge 50 cents a word. Or you can give them a discount on maybe X articles, you will charge X amount, that kind of thing. So it's totally up to you, but that is the base rate, and then you just work from there.
And I would like to add on to that. I want to play devil's advocate every time people talk about money in writing. So Greg has said that 50 cents to 70 cents is the average rate, right, per word. So if you write a 1,000-word article, you should get 500 to 800 ringgit. Of course, the Singaporeans tuning in, I'm not too sure what the Singapore rates are, right? But for Malaysia, it's pretty confirmed 50 to 80 cents per word. But then, as a devil's advocate, you have to also know what you have to offer, right? So if you haven't written anything before, and then you come in, it's like, I want 50 cents per word, which is what experienced writers are charging, you might end up having a hard time finding actual jobs to build your portfolio, right? So that is what I would like to say. But secondly, I would also like to say that when you take things on a project basis, sometimes you can get paid quite a lot for not so much work. Like I had to a project once where I revamped a luxury hotel's entire website, and for the project they just gave you like 10,000 ringgit. Right? They say like this project is going to be 10,000. I just want you to see it finish. That's all. Right? So you have these unpredictable things, which again you can nego or not nego, right? But the average freelance rate is 50 cents to 80 cents per word. But that leads us to a very interesting question by Jessica, because Jessica asks, can intro any online writing job that pay US dollars? PQ.
I'm sorry, Jessica. I don't know of any online writing jobs that pay USD. I am more concentrated in Malaysia, so I'm sorry, I really can't help you in that department. Stuart, can you help?
Yeah. First thing I would like to say is, if you can find Jessica, please let me know. So I also want to earn some USD. But sites like Fiverr and Upwork, although I don't usually recommend, they do pay in USD, right? But it's still low. Just because they pay in USD doesn't mean that you will be paid fairly, right? But there is this thing, if you have a flair for English, you can go to medium.com. Medium.com is a paying site. I personally have earned a few hundred USD per month, but that was just from my hobby. Like I was going to write these articles for my blog anyway, so I just put it on Medium, and that has managed to get me a few hundred USD per month. So that's not too bad. So if you have a flair for non-fiction English writing, you can check out medium.com, Jessica, right? Hope that helps. And oh no, we're running out of time. We better answer. We got a few more questions.
Okay.
Darshan asks, how does plagiarism affect article written for website or blogs, and how to avoid it? Take it
Okay.
away.
So, so the thing with writing for websites, right, especially lifestyle websites and all that, it's a bit difficult to because one story, multiple channels will carry it. But when you're writing, even if you're rewriting something or if you're taking the information from something, I think just be mindful not to copy word for word, because that is plagiarism. So you can use that as your reference, maybe, but not to how should I put it? Not to copy it word for word. Yeah, because when you read something, when you're doing research, you'll come across a lot of articles, and that's the research material which you can actually quote in your article as well. But don't copy it verbatim. That's when it gets into plagiarism, and then that's when you get into trouble.
All right. So yeah, I mean, sometimes you will come to a point where your own stuff is just being blindly copied on by some robots or something, and you can't stop those kind of things, sadly. Avoiding it, there's just no real way of avoiding, because what you're going to do, you're going to tell people to take down the article, is it? What if it's on their server, right? Sometimes when things go to the internet, it gets a bit hard to police.
Yeah.
So I
True.
hope that helps you, Darshan. Good question. And Tina not asked, she says 50 cents a word. So a 2,000 word article will cost 1,000 ringgit. Yes.
Ideally, yes, you should be paid that. Yes.
So if you are very good at it, you know how to manage your time. 1,000 ringgit like every couple of days, not too bad. If you can find the channels, right? Which is why we say freelance writing is a very good way to go if you want to earn money. But you need to have the context, the personality, and the digital skills, because nowadays a lot of people are looking for digital.
Yeah. And you need to have that constant clients as well to give you that amount of money. Yeah.
But freelancing is a whole other thing that you have to, there's so many things involved, right? So let us move on first we have 5 minutes left. We go on to Yuin again. How much should you charge for your very first article? I even forgot what was my very first article. How much should you charge, Greg?
I charged very low because I didn't know. Funnily, the person who engaged me told me all about the article and avoided the question of payment until the point where I had already agreed to do it. And then she told me, it was like, oh, by the way, we're charging you 25 cents a word. No, actually, she said 20 cents a word. And I said, 20 cents, that's really low compared to the market rate. And she said, I can increase it to 25 cents. And yeah, so I was grossly underpaid for that article. So yeah, don't do what I did.
So very first article, again, I would like to chime in, but I forgot what my very first one was. So I hope that answers your question again, Yuin. So we have 4 more minutes left. Yuin asked, what is your blog? I'm interested. I hope that if you Google my name, I should be on the top if my SEO is working, right? And if you want to learn more about SEO and how to land on the front page of Google, please check out www.nextacademy.com. I'm very smooth with my sales, right? If it's smooth, you give me a like. Okay, let us finish up with a couple more things that we didn't cover, right? Greg, do you have any funny stories from your experience in publishing so far?
Funny stories. Yeah, I do. I remember going for an interview at a conference. So there was one VIP guy who we were supposed to interview. Me and my colleague were there. And it just so happened that another journalist was there as well. And the PR person asked if we could all interview him together. So we said, fine, we're all journalists. So the 3 of us sat in a circle and the VIP was seated in front of us. And I noticed that throughout the interview, my colleague and I were asking questions and the other guy was just like mum throughout the entire interview. Being a journalist, I thought he should at least ask like one question or something, but he didn't. He just kept mum the entire time. And then once the interview was over, he asked us if we could have our recording. And we were like, no, dude, that's not happening. You as a writer or as a journalist, you should do your own thing and you should have your own recorder. And so
Wait,
don't...
So he was a journalist without doing anything?
Yeah, he just wanted our recording and he basically wanted us to do all the work and he'll just get the information and write the article based on our questions. He didn't even have a set of questions, actually.
Okay, please. That's another no-no for who was it just now? Was it Joanna? Another no-no for this industry. Okay, we have one. I think we have time for this one final question. We have 1 minute left. Let's try to inspire more people to come into writing. Jessica asks, is writing your full-time or part-time job? If part-time, what is your full-time job? Just curious how we survive solely. Because I'm in teaching currently. Jessica, I'm with you as well because I'm with Next Academy, right? And Greg, what are you doing?
I am writing full-time and I teach part-time.
Right. So again, we will always have all these mixtures, right? Sometimes you will have jobs on the side which pay fairly well, which you can squeeze in during your time. What you call that?
Your free time.
During your free time. I myself am looking to go into fiction, novel writing, but that doesn't pay well. But, as a writer, you have to find your own way, what interests you. Okay, so in Southeast Asia, it's best to stick to part-time, treat it as your passion, but give it your best, like write 1,000 words a day, right? And even though you don't do it for full-time, you might find something out of it, right? So,
Sorry, Stuart, can I add one more thing? So if you want to go into freelance writing, I would suggest maybe finding or looking for a client who would if you want to do writing freelance, get a part-time job first. So a part-time job will at least help you with your bills, and then it also gives you time to do writing on the side. Because this is what I did when I was freelancing for a bit. Then you have time to take on projects, and if projects don't come, you still have something that will help you pay your bills.
So stereotypically be a bartender or waiter or something like that.
Yeah. If you can, do something like that so that you have some sort of income.
All right, so we are past 9 p.m. I have to bring this to a close, unfortunately, even though we really want to continue talking with you guys. So please, if you enjoyed this talk and if you want to learn more, if you want to meet people like me, please drop by Next Academy. Please visit our website, nextacademy.com. We are very lucky to have had Gregory Basil with us today, writer/editor who has been in the industry for more than a decade.
Thanks for having me, Stuart.
And Ivan asked, looking for a freelance writer. That one you will have to, get in the industry more and get a gauge of what the average price is. Sorry, cannot answer too long for now. We are already past 9. Again, thanks so much for being such a great audience. I would love to see you guys again. Please join us for our webinars. Thanks so much, Yui, Jessica, Ivan, Mei Ling, Joanne, Dasha, Tina, and anyone who I'm not mentioning. Right. Thank you. See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.